Morning, everyone. If you could just find your seats, we'll be starting in about, well, everyone found a seat. About 10 seconds. Okay. I'm used to addressing schools where that takes about 5 minutes, so this is great. Thank you very much for joining us today, and welcome. My name is Tim Lewis. I'm the Member of Parliament from Kitchener-Conestoga, and I'm very pleased to be here today for this important announcement which furthers the commitment to rearming and reinvesting our Canadian Armed Forces. And today I'm pleased to welcome the Honourable Stephen Fuhr, Secretary of State of Defence Procurement, the Honourable David McGuinty, Minister of National Defence Canada. Thank you for the welcome from the President and CEO of CULT Canada, Sean Congdon. I'm also joined by my regional caucus colleague, the Honourable Bartosz Chagger, Member of Parliament from Waterloo, and representing the Mayor of Kitchener is Councilman Paul Singh. So thank you for being here as well. And to all our guests here, appreciate your time. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land we gather on is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Neutral people. And today, I would like to get right to it. I would like to invite Secretary of State Fuhr to make an announcement. Secretary of State.
Thank you very much, Tim. It's a pleasure to be back in Waterloo because I was here for the first time about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I went to the university and I went to an accelerator center, and I met lots of small to medium-sized enterprises that are working in the defense and security space. And of course, everyone in Canada knows anything about universities. Waterloo is the flagship university of Canada. I can say this when I'm here in Canada. Before we get into it, I wanted to talk very, very briefly about how we're changing the way that we are doing defense procurement to meet the moment. And it's a big moment. Watch the news, see what's going on the planet. Things are remarkably different today than they were a year ago, and we're doing a number of things differently. Specifically on the defense procurement side of the house, we've put together an agency called the Defense Investment Agency. That's the agency that I'm responsible with my Secretary of State hat on. And what we've done is we've consolidated defense procurement into one place. Traditionally, for the past 55 years, it's been all over the place. PSPC, D&D, ISED, all these departments have had their fingers in procurement. Everybody meant well, but it was decentralized, so it was all over the place. You can imagine duplication of effort, authority gates, all sorts of things that made the process slow. It delivered, there's no question. It just took too long, and it could surge when it needed to, but given the investments that we're making and the time we don't have to waste, we have to do things quicker. It'd be like putting the old system into a constant state of surge, which it just wasn't capable of doing. So this Defense Investment Agency consolidates defense procurement into one spot where we have integrated procurement teams made of from the people that I just mentioned. They come from those departments under one roof, and we work together to deliver procurements. This is all we do. We are completely focused on this 100% of our time. And we announced the stand-up of the Defense Investment Agency in October of 2025. A few weeks ago, we announced the Defense Industrial Strategy. That's the policy framework for which the Government of Canada is going to conduct itself moving forward with defense procurement. Obviously, our number one priority is to get the CAF what they need, but from the requirement side, as quickly as we can. We can't take years and years and years to deliver things to them. They need it now, and that's what we're going to do. In addition to that, we want to energize Canadian industry the best we can to stimulate our own economy. Obviously, we've been very reliant on our neighbors to the south for years and years. We'll still work with that neighbor, but we need to be much more resilient and less reliant than we were in the past. So as we procure things, we're going to use what's called the Build, Partner, Buy strategy. Today is a very good example of the build part of the Build, Partner, Buy. This is the weapon that met the requirements of the Army. This is the weapon that they wanted. This weapon is made here in Canada. And there's a whole bunch more things that I could say about why this procurement really is a flagship of example of what we are trying to do with procurement as we move into the future. Ultimately, what we want to do is bring 70% of the money we've been spending outside our border to inside our border to stimulate our own economy. And we want to increase our defense exports to 50%. And if we do both those things, which we're really going to try and do, and today's a good example of doing it, we expect to create an additional 125,000 jobs over 10 years in the defense and security space. So this is the plan. We're already executing, and let's get into why we're here today. The Canadian Armed Forces rely on a wide range of training and equipment. Each of these elements is important, but the assault rifle is arguably the most decisive and critical tool at a soldier's disposal. Our current C7, C8 assault rifles and carbines have been in service for 35 years. I did basic officer training with the FN, so I'm even older than the C7. They've served our troops well, but the time has come to replace them with a modern, dependable system. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that Defense Investment Agency has awarded Colt Canada with a contract to supply the Canadian Armed Forces with up to 65,402 assault rifle systems under the Canadian Modular Assault Rifle Project. That is unbelievable. From a process side, this procurement was done using a risk-based approach, demonstrating the Defense Investment Agency's firm commitment to streamlining processes and accelerating delivery of equipment to the Canadian Armed Forces. In phase one of this project, 30,000 General Service or GS variant rifles will be procured over a 3-year period. The estimated value of this initial phase is approximately $307 million. These firearms will provide reliable personal protection and deterrent for personnel who are not in primary combat roles. In year 4 of the project, phase 2, we'll see the remaining 19,000 General Service rifles come online, along with over 16,000 full spectrum or FS variant rifles. The later variant is designed for frontline combat roles. It is optimized for offensive operations in urban and open terrain, with advanced features for soldiers and regular infantry units. In addition to the rifle systems, the project also includes system integration and engineering support from Colt Canada. The contract will also deliver major economic benefits for Canada. Colt has committed to include 80% Canadian content within the rifle, creating new activity and jobs across the supply chain. I want to pause on that for a second because that is very, very important to the Government of Canada and to Canadians. The supply chain that feeds this facility really matters. So to bring everybody into the tent, if we can model this right across what we're trying to do in Canada, it'd be very, very helpful. I'm thrilled that Colt's putting this much effort into making sure the supply chain is Canadian. Thank you, Colt, for doing that. And as they say in the House of Commons, bonne nouvelle, it gets better. Colt Canada will also be growing its workforce from 130 to more than 200 employees to meet this need. So that's also very awesome. The contract will also generate nearly roughly $10 million in annual GDP over the next 5 years, including additional impact from the ITB policy. With expanded facilities and an increased production capacity, Colt Canada will be delivering more than 50,000 rifles to Denmark. That was in the press a little while ago, but you can see how when we invest in Canadian companies, it also increases their capacity and their ability to export to others. This is great. We also want to make sure that others that are looking for these amazing rifles, our allies, come to this facility and buy more from us here in Canada. This is a great example of how our investments in Canadian companies can help them scale and deliver for Canada and its allies. For many decades, Colt Canada supplied Canada's armed forces and law enforcement agencies with small arms. I want to thank each of you here at Colt Canada for the difference you're making and contributing to the readiness of Canada's military. Providing modern, reliable equipment to the men and women who serve is the DIA's central mission. By investing in advanced systems and Canadian expertise, our partnership with Colt Canada creates good-paying jobs, strengthens our economy, and keeps our forces ready for the challenges ahead. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Secretary of State Furey, for that fantastic announcement. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage the Defense Minister, Minister McGuinty.
This. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you very much for allowing me to join you here today. It's great to be here with my colleague Stephen Feuer, who's doing an exceptional job. It's standing up a whole new organization, as we've heard, in terms of how we buy things. And it's going to be big, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be good. It's going to be huge. I also want to recognize Tim and thank him for being here, the Member of Parliament from Kitchener-Conestoga, and Bartosz Chagger, my colleague and good friend, Member of Parliament for Waterloo. And I also want to take a second to acknowledge and thank Karen Redmond. Karen is the chair of the region of Waterloo. She was an outstanding public servant, elected for a long time, Member of Parliament for Kitchener Centre. It's so good to see you again, Karen. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. And thank you to Sean Congdon, CEO of Colt Canada, and the entire team, all of you, for being here today and welcoming us. This company has a long and proud history of supporting the Canadian Armed Forces. And we're going to need you at your best as we move forward. You're one of 5 Canadian suppliers under the Munitions Supply Program, and you play a critical role in ensuring our military has a reliable supply of small arms, equipment they depend on every day to carry out their missions. Just yesterday, I was in Ingersoll to announce a new ammunition facility at IMT Precision, a big announcement. And tomorrow I'm in Quebec to launch an even bigger announcement on a major nitrocellulose investment. We are moving at a speed we haven't seen in a long time. Taken together, those investments and the one we're making today are going to strengthen our capacity under the Munitions Supply Program and ensure the CAF have the resources they need when they need them. So I'm proud to be here, continuing that work in partnership with industry to announce this important new investment, building precisely on what Steve just said, what he outlined in detail for us. Maybe a few minutes on the context within which we're operating today. This is a moment of very, very profound change. It cannot be understated. A moment where the world is shifting in ways that are faster, more complex, more uncertain than we've seen in decades. The global security environment we once relied on is no longer fixed. It's being reshaped in real time. As the Prime Minister likes to say, we're witnessing a true rupture, a break from the assumptions and the stability that define the past. Assumptions like our geography is going to protect us, because it won't. At the same time, new and emerging technologies across both traditional and non-traditional domains are transforming the nature of threats and how they evolve. This is not a return to the old world. It's something fundamentally different. And in the face of that reality, we better be very clear-eyed and resolute about it. We've got to do more to ensure that the CAF have the equipment and the capabilities they need to meet these challenges head-on. Canada's got to be ready to defend its vast and resource-rich territory. And we must remain a reliable and capable partner, standing with our NATO allies, yes, and with our American neighbors, and stepping up when it matters most. So to meet the increased demands of our military, as Steve mentioned, we launched Canada's first ever Defence Industrial Strategy, the DIS, last month. We canvassed over 2,000 businesses. We spoke to 17 other countries who have similar strategies and asked them what worked, what didn't work, what do we have to do to get this right. So through that strategy, we're making generational investments in Canada's industrial capabilities, $6.6 billion pledged over 5 years to prioritize domestic, here, at home, defence production. The objectives outlined in the strategy are ambitious, we'll admit it, but they're realistic in light of the billions of dollars committed to defence in the coming years. By 2035, this country will be spending a total of $450 billion on defence in the next 9 years. the single largest investment in defense in Canadian history. We can do it. At the end of the Second World War, we had the third largest air force in the world. We had the fourth largest Navy. So through the strategy, we're making these investments. They're ambitious. By 2035, we expect to increase total Canadian defense industry revenues by 240%, generate more than 125,000 new jobs, increase the share of defense acquisitions awarded to Canadian firms to 70%. This is what it's all about. We also anticipate boosting defense research and development by 85% and raising Canadian defense exports by 50%. All of this is putting Canada on a pathway to meet NATO's new defense investment pledge. We pledged to meet 2% by March 31st. Stay tuned. Not far away. Good news is coming. But we've also said we're investing 5% of our GDP annually in defense and security by 2035. And crucially, we're ensuring we're delivering much-needed capabilities for our people in uniform while injecting billions of dollars into our economy. In fact, every dollar that we do invest to rebuild, to rearm, to reinvest in our military is a dollar invested in Canadian workers, in our communities, in our economy, and in our sovereignty, in our security. This means taking a strategic approach to procurement, as we heard from Steve, one that prioritizes long-term partnerships with Canadian industry, because industry has to know how big is the ask, how big is the order, how long will this last, if I'm going to staff up, if I'm going to equip up, if I'm going to engineer, what's coming at us and for how long. We're sending a clear and consistent signal to the private sector. To large firms, yes, but to small and medium-sized businesses everywhere, that Canada is open for defense business and we're ready to invest here at home. We'll no longer rely on outsourcing the majority of our defense production or depend on foreign suppliers for core capabilities. Instead, we're rebuilding it here, our own defense industrial base, on top of the 600 companies like Colt that we already have, made by Canadians for Canadian soldiers, prioritizing Canadian expertise, investing in Canadian capacity, research, development, engineering, buying Canadian, because that's how we ensure our armed forces have the right equipment when they need it for the long term. That's what this is about today. It's a wonderful example of the acquisition of all these new assault rifles that Stephen mentioned, while building in the flexibility to scale and adapt over time as operational needs evolve. This investment directly supports the designation of munitions as a core, quote, sovereign capability. That really means, in plain English, what we need, what we can build, what we can devise for ourselves. Because a sovereign munitions capability is about more than supply. It's about being autonomous for ourselves. It's really about standing on our own 2 feet. As I like to say, we can compete and we can win, and we will. It ensures our armed forces have the tools they need to defend Canada while driving that economic growth right here in Kitchener. For more than 45 years, the C-7 and C-8 served our armed forces with distinction across missions, terrains, climates around the world. Today we're building on that legacy. You are building on that legacy, ensuring the next generation of equipment meets the demands of a rapidly changing world. The new GS full-spectrum rifles will deliver over 40 years of technological evolution to our soldiers, bringing the best of Canadian know-how and engineering. So as we're seeing today, Canada's Defence Investment Agency represents a critical step. Steve's got a big job. He's got to go out there, ferret through the suppliers, set the conditions, make the hard choices, receive the tenders, and execute. And we're doing it at a speed and a pace, to be honest, that some folks are having a hard time keeping up with. So be it. But we can't do this alone. Our defense industry is an essential partner in safeguarding Canada's security, We're going to continue to rely on you, every single one of you who work here on the floor. I hope you remember that your role here is important. You're part of something much larger, very important for our country. We are 41 million strong. It is elbows up. We are looking out for ourselves. We can win, we can compete, and we're relying on you to strengthen our self-reliance, expand our capabilities, ensure that our CAF, the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces, have what they need to meet any challenge coming at them. So on behalf of the Government of Canada and the people of Canada, for those of you involved in this enterprise, thank you. Thank you for the heavy lifting. Thanks for the commitment. Thanks for the overtime. This is something bigger than all of us. What you do here in Kitchener matters, and it matters a great deal. It matters to our national security, it matters to our sovereignty, and it matters to our credibility with our allies. So let's keep moving forward together towards a stronger, more secure, and more prosperous Canada. And let's not forget, we can compete, we can win, and we will win. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. I also was remiss in introducing elected officials. Sorry, Member of Provincial Parliament, Mr. Saunderson. Thank you for being here as well today. And I think it's only fitting that we hear from the President and CEO of Colt Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Condon.
Well, good morning, and thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you, Minister of Defence McGuinty, Secretary of State Fuhr, our MP Tim Lewis, and certainly General Michael Wright for joining us today, and thank you for your remarks on this very special occasion. It is a privilege to welcome our D&D representatives, our government partners, community leaders, and also our distinguished guests as we mark this important moment in the history of Colt Canada. It is a great day for each and every employee of Colt Canada, and we are all very proud of the contribution we made to the Canadian Armed Forces. This year, we also are very proud to celebrate our 50th anniversary of Colt Canada, a legacy that began with a company named Dymaco. It has grown into a globally respected center of excellence in small arms technology, innovation, and technology. Today, as a prominent part of the Colt CZ Group, we are a piece of a global company who is a leader in small arms ammunition serving allied forces around the world. This 50th anniversary milestone is not only a celebration of our company's history, but also of Canada's enduring capability in small arms manufacturing. Through our partnership with the Government of Canada, through the Munitions Supply Program, Colt Canada continues to serve as a trusted industrial partner, ensuring Canada maintains a sovereign, reliable source of small arms capability for the Canadian Armed Forces. For 5 decades, the skilled and talented employees of Colt Canada have committed to producing the most reliable, battle-proven systems that Canadian soldiers depend on and trust. That responsibility reflects not only our commitment to those who serve, but also our broader mission to support our NATO allies. At its core, that mission is about protecting what matters most, our sovereignty and our security. Thanks again for coming this morning.
Well, thank you, Mr. Condon. Thank you also for hosting us today. I appreciate that. Well, that ends the formal part of the announcement, but I know there's some media here, so I'm going to invite Muchaba Hussain, there we are, to moderate the question and answer period. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll have the Secretary of State and Minister join me. My name is Muchaba. Our format for today will be one question, one follow-up. When you come to the mic, please just identify your outlet and who you're directing the question to. Thank you.
Hi, stand right there. Thank you, Dale Carruthers from the London Free Press. My question is for Minister McGuinty. Minister, I want to ask you about the March 1st attack by Iranians on a military base in Kuwait in which Canadian forces were stationed. We just want to clarify when you first learned about this attack.
Thanks for the question. I was first informed about the situation in the Middle East while abroad with the Prime Minister on a global tour in the Indo-Pacific. As a matter of practice, I don't comment, we don't comment for operational security reasons on these kinds of situations. Our first and foremost responsibility is for the safety and security of the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces. So a decision was made not to comment, and we don't comment. It's also important for us to recall that from the very beginning, Canada was not consulted with respect to the decision by the Israeli and American governments to launch an attack on Iran. We have not been involved, and we're not going to be involved. I'll also make it very clear, as I said repeatedly now, if neighboring states around Iran, in the Middle East and the Gulf, require the assistance of NATO allies, this is something that NATO allies are considering, and Canada is also considering. Now, it's also a very dangerous situation. It's changing hour by hour, and it is sometimes difficult to get clear and hard intelligence. So we're watching it very carefully.
Thank you, Minister. And for my follow-up question, so you knew about this before La Presse reported on it 11 days later, and also can...
No, I didn't know about it before La Presse reported on it. I saw the La Presse story while I was overseas.
So you learned through the media report?
I know that there was a situation in the Middle East, but this is something that we do not talk about. I don't know why this is a difficult thing to get through. We do not put the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces in harm's way or at risk. We do not share operational information, especially in the context of what was then an evolving, difficult, and fragile and expanding war. This has been the policy of the Department and the CAF for some time. I take my lead from the operational experts inside the Canadian Armed Forces.
Well, thank you, Minister. And for my follow-up, the leaders of the Bloc Québécois, the Greens, and the NDP have called on you to brief them, a classified briefing. Is that something you commit to at this time?
I would hope that all the leaders of the parties obtain their top secret clearance. It's something that we have put forward now repeatedly for all parties. The question of whether they should be briefed or not is one I'll take back. Thank you.
Question for Minister McGuinty. Diego Pizarro from CBC. NORAD scrambled jets yesterday because of a possible threat at the Montreal airport. What can you tell us about the threat and the response?
I can tell you that NORAD jets were scrambled, and the matter is under active investigation. It's now a question of law enforcement, RCMP and CVSA, for example, to examine what took place. I have nothing else to add.
And in your view, is it helpful that Pierre Poilievre is promoting trade with Canada on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
In your view, is it helpful that Pierre Poilievre is promoting trade with Canada on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Promoting trade with Canada?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I see a downside in promoting trade with Canada. This is exactly what the defense industrial strategy is all about. It's about making sure that we invest in our own needs while preparing ourselves for the massive export market. Let me give you an example, if I could. Just this week, we made an announcement for space, where we're investing $200 million to help create up to 6 new launch pads in Canso, Nova Scotia. Why are we doing that? 20% of our economy depends on satellites every single day, whether you're ordering food to your front door or trading on the stock market. And as a result of that, we need to make sure we have our own sovereign capabilities, our own reliable satellite systems. And at the same time, it turns out, because there's only one launch pad in all of Europe, there's a huge backlog of countries looking to put satellites into space. A $2 trillion marketplace over the next 10 years. Canada's going to go forward. We're going to make ourselves more independent when it comes to satellite capabilities, and we're also going to offer up the ability of other countries to come here and work with us to create jobs in Nova Scotia and beyond to put satellites into space. So promoting more trade with Canada, I don't see a downside. Good. Thank you, everybody. Thanks very much.
All right, there you have it. I hope you'll leave your comments in the comment area, and we'll be back. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us this morning.